Let's talk to somebody who knows all about this. The way forward is the nutritionist Nichola Ludlam-Raine. Nichola, good morning. It's going to be a new form of food etiquette. What do you have to now check with your guests? Are you on the fat jab? Therefore, you would naturally serve less on their plate.
Times are moving on, and I actually know multiple patients and families where there's a number of people within the same family who are all on the weight loss jab. I don't think it's necessarily about serving different food, but it might be a case of letting people serve themselves. And people who are on these weight loss jabs can still enjoy food, but it might be a case of smaller portions, or you as a family might decide to maybe serve 2 courses instead of 3. So Christmas dinner is still going to look pretty similar, but you might be just buying less food, or you might have more leftovers the next day.
Can you just explain how these jabs work and what they do to people's appetites? Because, of course, if you're dieting traditionally, you can just have a day off for Christmas and eat what you want, but it doesn't work like that with these injections, does it?
Exactly, and you can't just stop these injections because they stay in your system for around 2 weeks. So what they do is they slow gastric emptying and they make you feel full. So that means you will feel fuller with smaller portions, and your food will hang around in your stomach for a longer period of time. So what this means is I would strongly advise against having large meals just before bed. Have it earlier on in the day, and maybe go for a festive stroll after lunch to help with digestion, and that will help to prevent reflux and any unwanted symptoms like sickness and nausea.
And of course there are some social consequences of being on this drug, as we've just talked about, perhaps not being able to go to restaurants with family and friends, not being able to eat as much on Christmas Day. But are there any long-term health implications of being on these drugs?
Well, these weight loss drugs have been around for 2 decades. So I've been working with them, with people with type 2 diabetes. They are a miracle breakthrough for people who are struggling with obesity and say can't go down the route of bariatric surgery. There are amazing health improvements, blood pressure, cancer risk, and heart disease. The side effects tend to come if you are not compliant with the nutrition advice. So if you eat healthily, if you eat enough protein, eat enough fibre for your gut health, and also, for example, do resistance exercise, you'll help to maintain your health and your muscle mass, which is really crucial. The people who fall into disarray or any problems are ones that just stop eating almost altogether, or who are snacking on really less nutritious foods. So they're not fueling themselves on a metabolic level, and their metabolism will suffer long term, especially if they come off the jabs in the future.
And how important is it, Nichola, to exercise at the same time you're on these jabs, even if it's just doing walking?
Really, really important. So we know that exercise is important not only for your cardiovascular health, but also to maintain your muscle mass. So what we know is that when people lose weight, they don't just lose body fat, they lose muscle mass as well. So if you want to maintain your lean mass, eat enough protein, do resistance exercise, lifting weights, or maybe body weight squats, lunges at least twice a week. And that means that maybe 2 to 5 years down the line, you'll be strong as well as looking leaner than what you are today.
Overall then, Nichola, do you think that the explosion of the number of people using these jabs is actually a good thing for Britain's health?
I think it depends who's taking them. I see a lot of black market and misuse, but for those people with a body mass index above 30, above 40, let's say they want to reduce their weight, for example, for IVF or to obtain a type of surgery that you can only have if your body mass index is less than 30, or to improve quality of life, mobility, shortness of breath, I think it's brilliant, but it should be in conjunction with a doctor and a dietitian or registered nutritionist.
And you mentioned the black market. How worrying is it that some people are buying them because they can't get them through the NHS, they can't get them through the GP or across the counter in pharmacy, so they're going online and perhaps they're not buying what they think they're getting?
Really worrying. So not only that, you don't know what is inside the drugs, you're not getting that support. And really, it needs to be in conjunction with blood tests to make sure that you're not at risk of pancreatitis, gallstones. So I think it is really worrying. So I think my advice is to go through a reputable pharmacy or your GP if you can, and avoid looking overseas and the black market, as you say.
Well, Nichola Ludlam-Raine, thank you so much for joining us this morning and filling us in on these...
And have a very healthy Christmas, Nichola. I'm sure you will.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Happy Christmas. Nichola Ludlam-Raine, food nutritionist.